and welcome to this week's edition of the Orlando World's Sunday Showdown round of 64. This week we have a very different type of challenge, with two very different attractions going head-to-head for a place in the round of 32. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority Peoplemover goes one-on-one with the former Universal Studios attraction, the Nickelodeon Studios Tour. Let's take a quick look at both of these attractions. The Tomorrowland Transit Authority Peoplemover, or TTA Peoplemover as it's more commonly known, is an urban mass transit peoplemover attraction located in the Tomorrowland area of Magic Kingdom. It opened on the 1st of July 1975, with guests able to take in some scenic views around the park, when travelling through the 5,484-foot course, weaving its way through the heart of Tomorrowland, and passing by the scenic vistas of Main Street USA and the iconic Cinderella's Castle, and underneath the lift hills of Space Mountain. TTA Peoplemover is a suspended train ride, which uses a linear induction motor system, which helps the carts to accelerate along the track at certain points, using a setup of incredibly powerful magnets. Peoplemover is essentially just part of Disney's expansive mass transportation systems, like the Walt Disney World Railroad, monorail and Skyliner services. It's not the most exciting of attractions, but certainly holds its own when providing the ultimate backdrop for some photographic and memorable moments. The Nickelodeon Studios attraction was a real live working film studio, as well as a full live tour of the studios. It opened to incredible fanfare on the 7th of June 1995. Guests were able to take a look around the giant 19 soundstage building, and were privy to often watching some live recordings of Nickelodeon TV shows which were filmed within the studios. With studio audience shows such as Double Dare, and other series like Kenan and Kel, and Clarissa Explains It all being filmed there was often a chance you would stumble upon a show being filmed while taking the tour. The building was exactly as a Nickelodeon building should be. It was bright, colourful, with splats on the walls, and a vast array of wall murals of popular Nickelodeon characters and shows. The Nickelodeon Studios was a fascinating attraction, which took interested guests into the inner workings of TV production. Now let's take a look at both of these attractions in a series of rounds, to determine which of these attractions will advance to the round of 32. Let's get straight into round 1. TTA Peoplemover is essentially an elevated tram system, which was originally designed with Progress City in mind, the original planned venture by Walt Disney, which was designed to be a fully functional city, which eventually became Epcot theme park instead. TTA Peoplemover doesn't really have a theme as such, but does make references to the future, and travel between various points of the ride journey, taking in some scenes where models are displayed of the original project, Progress City. The ride is themed in conjunction with the rest of Tomorrowland, but does appear to be more Epcot themed in terms of its styling, with vehicles reminiscent of such attractions of the past, like Horizons and Universe of Energy. The main theming is undoubtedly the epic panoramic views that are on offer in the outdoor areas as you take in the breathtaking scenery of Magic Kingdom, with views overlooking the castle, Space Mountain, and the currently under construction Tron Light Cycle Run, which give guests not only a relaxing ride, but some great opportunities to capture some great park photography. The internal parts of the ride take you through several portions of Tomorrowland attractions, but the real winner of the attraction is the views guests get of the park surroundings. The Nickelodeon Studios tour was themed to that of an actual working film studio. The attraction wasn't the most highly themed, as essentially all the props and sets were all in use for their prospective shows, which were being filmed within the sound stages all while park guests were enjoying other attractions around them. This made this attraction unique, as guests were able to experience the live recordings of shows, and given an insight into how TV and film production actually worked. The studios were as expected, filled with lots of studio equipment, but along with some of the film sets, guests were treated to a variety of over-the-top wall murals and artworks from lots of Nickelodeon shows. The theming wasn't made to feel like a studio, it genuinely was a real studio in every sense of the word. So in round 1, despite offering some incredible views of Magic Kingdom, and providing a break from the hustle and bustle of the parks, Peoplemover just narrowly loses the first point to Nickelodeon Studios, which just had the edge. Being a real working studio, its theme was perfect for those who wanted to experience the real world behind TV production. Let's move on to round 2. Peoplemover is one of the highest capacity attractions at Walt Disney World. The trams traverse around the track in pods of 5, with up to 20 riders in each pod of carts. Riders sit in rows of 2, with each row in each cart facing into each other, for a total of 4 riders per cart. Each cart can hold a maximum of 6 people, although the standard is 4, meaning that for an average yearly capacity, the ride can accommodate up to 4,600 riders per hour, which is the highest in Magic Kingdom. The Nickelodeon Studios tour varied in capacity, mostly because they taped live studio shows on site, which were ticketed events, which increased the capacity. However, for the tour segments of the studios, groups of guests of around 20 toured the building with a studio guide, taking in the sights, which meant that for a tour attraction, the Nickelodeon Studios tour was able to entertain up to 900 guests per hour. Which means by comparison, the Peoplemover smashes Nickelodeon Studios in terms of capacity, so in round 2, the Tomorrowland attraction levels the score going into round 3. Peoplemover offered park guests an opportunity to take a brief but welcome break from the heat and the often vastly busy crowds, while offering a laid-back scenic view of areas of the park. For duration, the ride lasts approximately 10 minutes, and although not much happens while on board the ride, it does offer some much-needed respite to those who want a break, or want to capture some unique camera shots of the park. The duration is more than adequate for the ride, which is essentially an observation tramway. The Nickelodeon Studios tour was, as with many similar attractions back in its day, a fairly lengthy experience. Guests were given an educational tour of the studios and were given an in-depth look behind the scenes like never before. The tours generally lasted for 45 minutes, which is a considerable length of time to enjoy an attraction. It surprisingly didn't pass too quickly, but didn't drag either, giving an appropriate amount of educational content, along with some fun too. So in round 3, the Nickelodeon Studios attraction goes back into the lead for the second time of the contest, as we head into the penultimate round. Peoplemover opened on the 1st of July, 1975 as the Wedway Peoplemover, Wedway being partly from the initials of Walter Elias Disney. Peoplemover was originally set to be an actual mass transportation system for the Progress City project, similar to the monorail system and the Omnimover, but used as a genuine mode of transport for the area, but plans changed and was added as a Magic Kingdom attraction instead when Tomorrowland became part of Magic Kingdom. For over 45 years the Peoplemover system has been a go-to attraction, mostly for a break from the parks, and the opportunity to capture some stunning views from the parks. It has changed names and had narrative changes when various Tomorrowland attractions were updated, and recently added inserts with the likes of Buzz Lightyear and others, with some to add to the voice-over throughout the journey. Nickelodeon Studios was an opening day attraction at Universal Studios. Its appeal over the years was incredible, particularly for the younger guests, as they were keen to get up and close to some of their favourite stars from the popular Nickelodeon shows which were filmed there. Along with being a part of the live game shows, it operated for 15 years, but a decline in attendance, due to many shows moving filming to California, and the popularity of the Universal Orlando Resort, requiring more immersive experiences. The attraction sadly closed in 2005. Meaning in the penultimate round, the Tomorrowland attraction levels the score, going into the all-deciding fifth and final round. In terms of thrill factor, both of today's attractions don't exactly rank very highly on the thrill scale, but for excitement and overall enjoyment, both of these attractions do very well at bringing these elements to the forefront. Peoplemover is a very slow-moving tram ride, very similar to the Omnimover rides. It's mostly uneventful in terms of any thrill experience, although it serves its purpose well, by being a showcase vehicle for the Tomorrowland area, and creating the ability to capture a sense of the overall aura around Magic Kingdom, where you can take a relaxing ride around, while seeing a lot of beautiful scenery from Magic Kingdom. For that alone it rates highly, particularly for those who are interested in capturing some of the best and most unique photographs and videos while visiting the park. It's a worthy ride when guests want to offload from the busy park, or to see the insides of the area from a unique perspective. It's a decent attraction to pass a little bit of time. Nickelodeon Studios was one of the original behind-the-scenes attractions within Universal Studios. It wasn't an attraction that created any real thrills, but its excitement factor, and more importantly its educational factor, were rated highly by most guests, as they were given a fly-on-the-wall look at the inner workings of the film and TV industry, in ways that were never experienced by theme park guests before. Nickelodeon Studios still has a fiercely loyal following to this day, with many theme park guests who remember the attraction, looking for it to return, or to bring back similar style attractions which dive deeper into the behind-the-scenes elements, which sadly have almost all but been wiped out in today's Florida parks. But in the fifth and final round, overall, as much as Nickelodeon Studios was an enjoyable experience, and provided a lot more in the way of content, and lasted far longer, Peoplemover is just an enjoyable experience, and offers up an open window to the Tomorrowland area of the park, and is sadly one of the only original attractions left which were directly created by Walt Disney himself, which makes it such an important part of the Disney universe. So looking at today's results, after a back and forth point scoring, we do now have a winner. Meaning that the former Nickelodeon Studios attraction drops out of the competition. Nickelodeon Studios was a fun and educational attraction, which doubled as a real-life film studio, which sadly is no longer common at any of the theme parks. Hopefully one day, some of these incredibly important attractions will return in the future, giving new generations a look at behind-the-scenes shows like never before. The Peoplemover advances to the next round. Join us in next week's episode where we take a look back at two defunct attractions, Twister, Ride It Out, and the Lights Motors Action Extreme Stunt Show. See you next week. Have you seen our photo flashback video series featuring this week's attractions? You can check the links in the description down below. We hope you enjoy this video. Please support us by subscribing to our channel. You can find us on social media platforms. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Orlando Worlds, and on Instagram at The Orlando Worlds. Thanks for watching.